This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and NIL Game Changers. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Brewers Outlet, Sunbury Motor Company, and Purdy Insurance. Now, from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
This half hour being brought to you by our great friends at Purdy Insurance. Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. Auto, home, life, business, boat, motorcycle, RV. They have a multitude of insurance needs, not just one. You need to have somebody that can manage it all, where they're making sure you're fully insured, where they're making sure they're doing everything in their power to save you money. Customer service means everything to the great people, the great pros at Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. All right, so let's get to our high school roundtable, and we're going to start with the undefeated team. How about Lewisburg? Gregg, this is quite a run. Your thoughts on what we're seeing from this team on a week-by-week basis?
You know what, Steve? They're just staying committed to the task at hand. They knew last week they were heavy favorites against Midwest. They went out, did their job. It was 35-0 at the end of the first quarter. Coach Witt started substituting liberally. In fact, late in the first quarter, he had most of his starters out. So they did what they needed to do. They got out of the game healthy, and they're looking forward to playing Shamokin this week, who is also undefeated.
Right, and that's what makes this fun. But now let's get to the players themselves. We know in the last few years how it's gone for Lewisburg. Success does breed success. Is that what you're now seeing with this team, and when do you think that mentality kicked in?
Well, I think towards the end of last year when they won 4 out of their last 5 games to qualify for a home playoff game, they beat Montoursville in a district playoff game, and Montoursville had beaten them earlier in the season. I think that they started getting their confidence, and they started finding out who they were. They were a run-first team, pass-second team, with Jeremiah Davis being their leading rusher. Since the middle of last season, he's rushed for well over 1,500 yards. He's close to 2,000 yards in the last 12 ball games. So that's who they become, and that's been their identity. And I think they're really confident with that.
It's one thing to knock a team out early, and they've done that a few times this year. What have been your thoughts about Lewisburg when they have been in a game where they had to make some plays in the second half? Because not all of them are knockout games, but how have you felt about how they've responded when they needed to make a play?
Well, in the first game of the year, they beat Line Mountain 26-23.
Yep.
Line Mountain had the ball with under 2 minutes to go in the game. We're driving down the field, and they were on Lewisburg's about their 36, 37-yard line, 4th down and 1. Defense stepped up and made the play. They had another game against Hughesville where it was a back-and-forth game for a while. Early in the third quarter, midway through the third quarter, 4th down stop, same thing. Defense came through, offense takes the ball, goes down, scores, and it becomes a 2-score game, and Lewisburg then put Hughesville away. When they've had that chance, Steve, the defense has come through and made that stop. Really, there hasn't been a lot of pressure on the offense yet to make that drive, so to speak. It's the defense that has come up big near the end of the games and made the stop to save the game for them, so to speak.
Shamokin finally got pushed a bit by Williamsport last week, finally won the game, beating, and the same thing. They got pushed by Selinsgrove, too. I mean, Selinsgrove really pushed them. 23-16, I think was the final. What's been your thought on them and what, just on them in general?
Well, I think I think they might be the best balanced team Lewisburg's played this year in terms of running the ball and throwing the ball. Last week against Williamsport, they ran for over 400 yards, passed for over 100 yards. They had about 550 yards of offense against Williamsport last week. The other thing that impresses me about them is they are huge on the offensive line and defensive line. They are big. But their team speed, I believe that this is the first team Lewisburg's played this year that can compare with them team speed-wise. And I think that has to be a concern to the coaching staff of Lewisburg.
Is this, because of the stage of the season, Week 8, do you feel like this is one of those possession-by-possession games, or do you look at it quarter-by-quarter?
I think it's going to be quarter-by-quarter, Steve. The reason I say that is I know you talk to us all the time about first score mentality.
Yeah.
If Lewisburg scores first, they can stay with their game plan. If Lewisburg gets behind against Shamokin and they try to stop the run, this is where Chase Wenrick has to step up and their wide receivers. I really think Lewisburg is going to have to throw for 150 to 200 yards to really make Shamokin play honest on defense. If they don't, and they stack the line of scrimmage against Jeremiah Davis, I'm not sure Lewisburg can just run the ball, oppose their will on them, running the football like they have in the other games this year. I just think Shamokin is too talented up front to do that, and they have some good defensive backs. Chase Pencil he's one of the best athletes Lewisburg is going to play against this year. He plays wide receiver for them, a little running back for them. He does a little bit of everything, and he's an extremely fast kid. I've watched him in track and field for 4 years. Well, 3 years. This will be his 4th year, and he is a heck of an athlete.
Greg, what's this like for you? Because you've seen the ups and downs, more downs than you'd probably want to talk about. What is it like for you to see this and to see a game like this of 2 undefeateds in Week 8?
Oh, this is exciting, Steve. I've been watching and being a part of Lewisburg football since the middle 60s. And there's not often that you play an undefeated team 8 games into the season. And this is exciting. Lewisburg went with some really good football from the middle 60s till the middle 80s. And then they've kind of fallen on some hard times. So they've been about, they've had a good team here and there. 2010, they went to the state semifinals. But this is exciting to see everything come together for this group of kids and the community. I mean, the community is starting to get excited about this football team.
And that's really cool. This has been one of the fun stories to cover during the course of this fall. And I'm excited for you and for everybody that's listening on 100.9 The Valley on Friday night. And for people to get out there and see it, it should be great. Greg, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve.
All right, Coach. You bet. You too. Coach Briggs, Steve, welcome. Great to have you with us. A tight, hard-fought 14-7 win for Selinsgrove over Shikellamy. What kind of heart and guts did it take to win a game like that?
Well, it was very interesting because I listened to pregame, the interview that Zach Showers has with Coach Wenrick. And I know Matt, my goodness, I knew him since he was 10 years old. I could tell in his voice that, hold on, this isn't, throw out the records. This is Selinsgrove, Shikellamy. Selinsgrove's had some success recently. Shikellamy's really had some unfortunate, shall we say, recent history with the coaching, with, their record and all this. But they have explosive players. They have really good quarterback. They needed a little shot in the butt to get them going, and my God, it was a completely different. If I put on the film from earlier in the season, watching Shikellamy, their wing tee, Chief will explain it to everybody better than I, but and couldn't throw the ball across the street. All of a sudden, it's an empty set, 3 wides. getting rid of the 21 personnel, letting this Pollock kid run the ball down. I mean, it was a setup. There was no question about it. Selinsgrove gets the ball, goes down the field, all of a sudden scores. Touchdown. Touchdown's called back. Evan Bastian playing in the quarterback position. Touchdown gets called back. They move it back 10 yards. The very next play, he goes again. Touchdown. This one's called back from a procedure penalty. And everybody's saying, it's going to be the typical Shikellamy, Selinsgrove game. And all of a sudden, it's no score first half. Selinsgrove comes out second half, scores, then goes up again, and then Schick gets a fumble in the red zone and scores, and all of a sudden everybody's going, whoa. And that's the type of game it was. I give tons of credit to both teams, obviously. Mm-hmm. But Shikellamy played their hearts out. They played hard. They were coached well. Hats off to them. But again, a win's a win. And a
win's a win. I'll give you an expression. We'll go to the golf course. My buddy Wes Durham, who's the voice of the Falcons and the ACC network, when we're playing golf, he'll make a mess of a hole and get a par. He goes, Jonesy, some pars are better than others. Well, sometimes some 14-7 wins are better than others because you may have made a mess about something and you still walked out with a win. Would that be a fair assessment of this?
Absolutely, 100%. It was a fun game because it was a nice crowd, because it is a big rival. And you could just see the confidence. Gregg, you and Gregg just talked about team confidence. You could see the confidence rolling with Shikellamy every quarter. And I don't want to say it was neat to see because obviously I'm on the Selinsgrove side here, but they're going to be much better. I think they are much better. And again, Chief can fill you in better than I, but it was really a fun high school football game. Probably the team that should have won. Selinsgrove winning 14-7, but it was a heck of a lot closer than everybody thought, believe me.
So week 7 going into week 8. So here into week 8, where do you think Selinsgrove is better through 7 weeks of the season?
I think the big thing is they're finding their playmakers. Kind of knew it going into it, but Gavin Bastian and Ethan Miller are two of their best players. Said the same thing last week. I think their quarterback's getting better week to week, although they really don't pin it on his shoulders to win it. Mm-hmm. He's kind of getting experience as it goes. He's a great kid, Rocco Amato. And I think because of injury and because of lacking of numbers in certain spots, I think they're getting better. And what I mean by that is guys are maturing and growing up week to week. They do need to get some guys back healthy that haven't been out there. And, my God, they got a heck of a Holidaysburg team this week at Holidaysburg. Yep. They got Berwick at home, and then they got an undefeated Danville team. And Berwick's getting better, but Berwick's Berwick, right? Let's face it.
You're right. Well, you talk about Holidaysburg. Homer Delatry's team is 6-1. I mean, they got out of the gate right away and beat Altoona, then they beat Alderdice, then they beat Allegheny. They beat Butler. They beat Mifflinburg. They beat them by 8. The one loss is to Fort Hill, and that was on the road. And then they beat Jersey Shore by 2. Give me an idea of your thoughts on the test of going down to Blair County and playing Holidaysburg.
Well, I think here's where experience lends a hand a little bit. Yeah. This will be the 3rd or maybe 4th year in a row that they've played Holidaysburg, so they know each other.
Yep.
It's one of those things. I think Selinsgrove really whacked them last year. I think this is the Holidaysburg team that's been kind of nurturing for the last 3 years. A lot of the guys playing now played as sophomores. It's always a tough place to play down there. It's kind of a fun trip for us, for Pat and I. We kind of get down there early, go have dinner, see the place, that whole deal. But it's a heck of a challenge because this is a good team. They're undefeated in Pennsylvania. That's what we say. Cause
that's right. Yes.
They're the team they lost to was a good team from Maryland. So great challenge, incredible challenge. So it'll be an interesting trip for the Seals.
Thank you so much for all your time. Great analysis. Appreciate you. It's going to be on Eagle 107.
Thanks a lot, Steve. And again, good luck this week for the Nittanies.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much. All right. As they would say in Illinois, Chief. Right? The Chief is with us.
Hey, we're a day early.
Day early and $1 short. No, it's not.
That's true. That's true, Steve. Yep.
Dave, it probably played out in a way that gave Shikellamy the best shot to win. I asked Steve this, what kind of heart and guts did it take on the Shikellamy side to do what they did on Friday night?
You know how a lot of times when a team has a poor record and they give a team like Selinsgrove a really tough game, they say they played above their level. Well, I don't look at it that way. The kids played up to their level because of the hard work that they did in the last 3 weeks, and also the enthusiasm that has been placed back into the program. The ability was there. The kids that could block were there. The kids that could run, and the kids that passed and caught, and everything was there. But it's starting to come out of them now, and I think that's what has happened the last 3 weeks. It's funny. I talked to a couple of friends before the game, and they said, we are really worried about this game. And I said, well, you should be. So
yeah.
It turned out to be what I expected. I didn't expect it to be a blowout. I didn't expect both teams to score a lot of points. I thought it was going to be, maybe 7-10 points difference.
And that's the way it turned out. You have to find a play each half to win. How close are they to finding that play each half?
Oh, they're there. I think they are. I thought they played. I thought they played the second half as well as first half. I'm sure Steve talked about this, but Selinsgrove scored 2 touchdowns right away in the first quarter, and they were both called back, and they were basically quarterback sweeps. And the Braves adjusted to that, and basically shut that down. So they played well in that first half. In the second half, it was just there was a penalty that gave Selinsgrove a lot better position, and the Miller boy is a good runner, and he did a nice job of getting through the line once in a while. But it was again, I saw that the offensive line both halves gave Brody time to throw the ball. I don't think we ran as well as we would want to. But as far as the effort, I think it's just the fact that, hey, listen, we lost 14-7, and we played probably as good in both halves.
All right, now Bloomsburg, which has been rolling. I mean, Bloomsburg's been rolling lately. What is the big challenge in the matchup with Bloomsburg?
Well, last year it was a great game. Shikellamy came out on top, and they basically have the same team back. I watch them. They run spread on both sides, and they like to throw the ball, and they've got a good quarterback that can run. You come into a game like this, and the Braves feel they can win, and I'm sure the Panthers feel that they could win. So, again, I think it's going to be one of those games where if you execute and don't make a lot of mistakes, you will come back you will get a victory. And that's what the Braves are working on. They have to do that. They cannot have any penalties that would hurt their offense or set the Bloomsburg's offense up for an easier score. And I'm sure Bloomsburg's thinking the same way. I've watched them a couple of times, and I was impressed. I mean, they can throw the ball, and their quarterback's probably their best runner, and he was last year too.
Well, you know what the big thing to me is? Shikellamy playing with a lot more confidence, and that means it makes a big difference. So I think that's really cool.
I see so much. If I could see into their helmet, I'll bet they were smiling. I'll just say that. The energy level is really up. and we finally got the ball to the right people, and that has helped a lot. And I know practice. I've watched a couple of practices, and practice is practice. But hey, listen, the kids are even enthusiastic through that.
Always a pleasure. That'll be on WKOK and, of course, on our YouTube channel as well. Dave, thanks so much. Appreciate you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Steve.
Well, I'll tell you, we got some fun stuff coming up on Friday night, don't we? Huh? That's going to be great. Half hour brought to you by Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. Here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.